The man who controlled everything, Damien Cross, had built his empire on precision. At 34, he commanded one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the world. His decisions affecting thousands of employees and millions of investors. Every morning began at 5, every meeting ended with actionable results, and every relationship served a purpose. Emotions were variables he had long ago learned to eliminate from his equations. On a rain-soaked Thursday evening in downtown Seattle, Damien found himself doing something completely out of character. He walked into a small, independent bookstore cafe, seeking refuge from a sudden downpour rather than calling his driver. The space smelled of aged paper and fresh coffee, a combination that stirred something unfamiliar in his chest. The woman who asked nothing, she sat in the corner, surrounded by stacks of books, her fingers tracing the spine of a worn poetry collection. Natalie Hayes had worked 3 jobs that week, her exhaustion visible in the slight droop of her shoulders, yet her eyes remained bright with curiosity. She wore no jewelry, no designer labels, nothing that screamed for attention. She simply existed in that moment. Content with her books and her solitude, when Damien ordered his coffee, their eyes met accidentally. No recognition flashed in her gaze, no calculation about his worth or status. She simply offered a brief, genuine smile before returning to her book. That smile haunted him more than any business failure ever had. "Is that any good?" Damien found himself asking, gesturing to her book as he waited for his order. Natalie looked up, surprised. "It depends on what you are looking for. Beautiful language or easy answers?" "I was not aware those were mutually exclusive," he replied, intrigued. "They usually are," she said softly. "The most beautiful truths are often the hardest to accept." A conversation without agenda. What began as a simple exchange evolved into an hours-long conversation. They moved to a table near the window, watching the rain blur the city lights into abstract paintings. Damien found himself talking about things he never discussed: the pressure of constant performance, the loneliness of being surrounded by people who wanted something from him, the exhaustion of always being watched. Natalie listened without judgment, without offering empty platitudes. She spoke about her own struggles, working multiple jobs while caring for her aging mother. The dreams she had postponed, the fear that life was passing her by while she merely survived it. Her honesty was disarming, her vulnerability a mirror reflecting his own carefully hidden doubts. "You are different from what I expected," Natalie admitted, as midnight approached. "What did you expect?" Damien asked. "I did not expect anything. I still do not know your last name." That statement pierced through his defenses more effectively than any boardroom challenge. She truly did not know who he was. For the first time in years, Damien felt seen as a person rather than a position. The departure that changed everything. They shared a taxi as the bookstore closed. The city quiet around them. Damien walked Natalie to her apartment building, a modest structure in a neighborhood he rarely visited. At her doorstep, something shifted between them. The air felt charged, full of unspoken possibilities. "Thank you for tonight," Natalie said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I needed to remember that conversations like this still exist. Can I see you again?" Damien asked, abandoning every rule he had about relationships and planning. Natalie hesitated, conflict visible in her expression. "I do not think that would be wise." "Why not?" "Because tonight felt too perfect," she admitted. "And perfect things always end badly for people like me." Before he could respond, she disappeared inside. Damien stood on that rainy sidewalk, feeling something he had not experienced in over a decade. Loss, not of money or opportunity, but of something infinitely more valuable, a genuine connection. He returned home that night, unable to sleep, her words echoing through his mind. By morning, he had made a decision. He would find her again. What he did not realize was that his carefully controlled world was about to collide with forces he could not manage: his own heart, her fierce independence, and the dangerous realization that some encounters change everything, whether you are prepared for them or not. The search had begun, but the real question remained unanswered. When he found her again, would she want to be found? The search that consumed him 3 weeks passed, and Damien Cross became a man he barely recognized. His assistant noticed the distraction during critical board meetings. His closest business partner commented on the unusual number of unfinished reports. Damien had hired the best private investigator in Seattle, providing only a first name, a neighborhood, and a description that felt inadequate for capturing who Natalie truly was. The investigator returned with results on a gray Monday morning. Natalie Hayes, 28 years old, worked at a medical supply warehouse during the day and waited tables at a diner 3 nights a week. Her mother had passed away 2 months before their encounter, leaving Natalie with medical debt that would take years to clear. She lived alone now, surviving rather than living. Damien stared at the folder, guilt washing over him. While he had been searching for her, she had been drowning in grief and financial burden. The perfect night they shared had been her brief escape from overwhelming pain. The crisis that forced his hand that same afternoon, his board of directors delivered an ultimatum. Cross Technologies faced a crucial merger with a conservative European conglomerate worth billions. The investors had concerns about Damien's public image. Too focused on work, no personal stability, no indication of long-term commitment to anything beyond profit margins. They want to see a man who can balance ambition with responsibility, his lead investor explained. Marriage would signal maturity, stability, trustworthiness. You want me to get married for a business deal? Damien asked incredulously. We want you to present the image of someone who has invested in a future beyond quarterly earnings. The investor corrected. 6 months. That is all we need. After the merger finalizes, your personal life becomes your own again. Damien dismissed the meeting, fury and frustration warring inside him. He refused to commodify relationships, to reduce human connection to strategic advantage. Yet, as he sat alone in his office overlooking the Seattle skyline, an idea formed that both terrified and compelled him. What if he could solve both problems at once? What if he could see Natalie again, while also satisfying his board's demands? The confrontation at the diner. Natalie was clearing tables when she saw him walk through the door. Her hands froze mid-motion, a coffee pot suspended in air. Damien looked out of place among the worn booths and flickering fluorescent lights. His tailored suit, a stark contrast to the tired faces of late-night customers. She set down the coffee pot carefully and approached him. You should not be here, she said quietly, aware of her co-workers watching with curiosity. I know, Damien replied, but I could not stop thinking about you. That night was a mistake, Natalie said, though her voice lacked conviction. We are from completely different worlds. Then help me understand yours, he said. Give me 5 minutes, please. Against her better judgment, Natalie nodded. They stepped outside into the cool night air, the sound of traffic providing white noise for difficult conversations. The proposition that changed everything. I need to be honest with you about who I am, Damien began. He explained his company, his position, the pressure he faced. He watched Natalie's expression shift from confusion to understanding to something resembling disappointment. So that night meant nothing, she said flatly. You were just another businessman looking for a distraction. No, Damien said firmly. That night meant everything. That is why I am here. He took a breath and made his offer. A contractual marriage lasting 6 months. She would attend public events with him, present a united front for investors and media. In return, he would clear her debts, provide housing, and ensure financial security that would last long after their arrangement ended. You want to buy me, Natalie said, her voice cold. I want to offer you a choice, Damien corrected. You are drowning in debt from trying to save your mother. I am drowning in expectations that have nothing to do with who I actually am. We could help each other. The negotiation of terms. Natalie wanted to walk away. Everything in her past warned her against deals with powerful men, yet she could not ignore the practical reality. She was 3 months behind on rent. Collection agencies called daily. Her mother's medical bills would haunt her for decades unless something changed dramatically. If I even consider this, Natalie said slowly, there would be conditions. Name them, Damien replied. Separate living spaces. No expectations of physical intimacy. Complete transparency about the arrangement's purpose and timeline. And the moment you treat me as property rather than a partner, I walk away, regardless of any contract." Damien nodded, agreed. "And I have one condition of my own." "What is that?" "Honesty," he said. "If this becomes too much, if you feel uncomfortable or unsafe, you tell me immediately. This only works if we are honest with each other." Natalie studied his face in the dim streetlight. She saw no arrogance there, only a man as trapped by circumstances as she was. To people making an imperfect choice in an imperfect world, "I need 3 days to think about it," she said finally. "Take the time you need." Damien replied. He handed her a card with his private number. "Whatever you decide, that night at the bookstore was real for me. Nothing about this changes that." After he left, Natalie stood alone on the sidewalk, holding a business card that represented both salvation and danger. She thought about her empty apartment, the collection notices piling up, the future that looked increasingly bleak. She thought about the man who had listened to her that rainy night, who had seen her as more than her circumstances. The decision 3 days later, Natalie called the number. Damien answered on the first ring. "I will do it," she said. "But we do this my way. Equal partners in a temporary arrangement. Nothing more, nothing less." "Agreed," Damien replied, relief flooding his voice. Neither of them acknowledged the lie they were telling themselves, that they could spend 6 months pretending to be married without their hearts becoming involved. That the connection they felt that first night could be contained within contractual boundaries. That walking away after 6 months would be as simple as signing papers. The deal was made, the terms were clear, and both of them stepped forward into an arrangement that would test every assumption they held about love, trust, and the difference between what we need and what we want. The life she never imagined. Natalie moved into a modern townhouse in a quiet Seattle neighborhood 1 week after signing the contract. The space felt surreal, hardwood floors gleaming under soft lighting, furniture that looked like it belonged in magazines. A kitchen larger than her entire previous apartment. Damien kept his distance as promised, maintaining his own penthouse across town. The contract was thorough. Public appearances twice weekly. Social media presence carefully managed by a PR team. Responses to personal questions scripted and rehearsed. Everything designed to present the image of a successful man who had found balance through love. Their first public appearance was a technology conference gala. Natalie wore a midnight blue dress selected by a stylist who treated her with surprising warmth. When Damien arrived to pick her up, something shifted in his expression as he saw her. "You look incredible," he said softly. "It is just a costume," Natalie replied, though she felt the heat rising in her cheeks. "No," Damien said. "It is you, finally having the resources to show the world what I saw that first night." The performance that felt too real at the gala, they moved through crowds with practiced ease. Damien introduced her to investors, journalists, and competitors. Natalie surprised herself with how naturally she adapted. She asked genuine questions, remembered names, made connections that had nothing to do with her supposed role. "Your wife is remarkable," one investor told Damien. "She actually listens." Damien watched Natalie across the room, engaged in animated conversation with a group of startup founders. "Yes," he said quietly. "She is." As weeks passed, the lines began to blur. Damien found excuses to extend their public appearances with private dinners afterward. Natalie caught herself texting him about small things. A funny moment at the grocery store, an article she thought he would appreciate, observations that had nothing to do with their contract. One evening, after a charity auction, they walked along the Seattle waterfront. The city lights reflected off the dark water, and the air smelled of salt and possibility. "This is getting complicated," Natalie said suddenly. Damien stopped walking. "I know. The contract said no emotional entanglement," she continued. "But I find myself looking forward to seeing you. Not because I have to, but because I want to." "Would that be so terrible?" Damien asked gently. "Yes," Natalie said, "because in 4 months, this ends. You get your merger, I get my fresh start, and we both move on." Feelings make that impossible. The crisis that exposed everything, the exposure came from an unexpected source. A business journalist investigating cross-technologies discovered inconsistencies in the timeline of Damien and Natalie's relationship. Public records showed no dating history, no overlap of social circles, no gradual progression from strangers to spouses. The article published on a Tuesday morning with a devastating headline: Tech Moguls, Marriage of Convenience, Love or Business Strategy. Natalie saw it first. She called Damien immediately, her voice tight with barely controlled panic. "We need to talk. Now." They met at the townhouse. Damien arrived to find Natalie pacing, the article pulled up on her laptop. "They know," she said, "maybe not everything, but enough to ask questions we cannot answer." Damien read the article, his jaw tightening. "My PR team will handle this." "Handle it how?" Natalie demanded. "By lying more, by creating a fake backstory that will eventually crumble too." "What do you want me to do?" Damien asked, frustration breaking through his usual control. "I want you to tell me the truth," Natalie said. "Is this still just business to you? Am I still just a solution to your board's demands?" The question hung in the air between them, heavy with implications neither had been willing to confront. "No," Damien said finally. "You stopped being business the moment you walked out of that bookstore." The choice that defined everything. Natalie felt tears, threatening. "Then what are we doing? Why are we pretending this is temporary when we both know it stopped being fake weeks ago?" Damien crossed the room, stopping just short of touching her. "Because you said you did not want complications. Because I promised you an exit. Because I thought I could control this. Can you?" Natalie asked. "No," he admitted. "I cannot control how I feel about you. I cannot control wanting to hear about your day. I cannot control the fact that every business victory feels empty if I cannot share it with you." Natalie closed her eyes. "The contract ends in 4 months. Then we end it now," Damien said. "Not the marriage, the pretense." He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Schedule an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning," he told his assistant. "Tell them I am making a statement about my personal life, and they will not like it." After hanging up, he turned back to Natalie. "I am going to tell them the truth. That this started as an arrangement but became real. That I will not apologize for how it began, and I will not pretend about where it is now. If they want my resignation, they can have it." "You would give up your company?" Natalie asked, shocked. "I would give up everything," Damien said simply. "Before I give up you." The resolution. The next morning, Damien faced his board. He explained everything, the initial contract, the pressure they had placed on him, the way an arrangement became genuine connection. He offered his resignation if they felt his judgment was compromised. The room was silent for a long moment. Then, his lead investor spoke. "The merger was approved yesterday. Your personal life, however it began, is your own business now." That evening, Damien found Natalie in the townhouse garden. She looked up as he approached. "Well?" she asked. "The merger is done," he said. "The contract is void, which means you are free to leave if you want to." Natalie stood, her heart pounding. "And if I do not want to leave?" Damien smiled, the first genuinely relaxed expression she had seen from him in weeks. "Then we start over. No contracts, no timelines, no exit clauses. Just two people choosing each other, every single day." Natalie stepped forward and took his hand. "I choose you," she said. "Not your money, not your status, not your stability. Just you. That is all I have ever wanted to be chosen for," Damien replied. They stood together in the fading light. Two people who had stumbled into an arrangement born of desperation and emerged with something neither had expected. Not a transaction, but a transformation. Not a contract, but a commitment freely given. The billionaire who controlled everything learned that the only thing worth having could not be controlled. The woman who trusted nothing learned that sometimes the biggest risk leads to the greatest reward, and together, they discovered that the best love stories do not begin with certainty. They begin with courage. The courage to be honest, the courage to be vulnerable, and the courage to choose connection over self-protection. Their story started with a single encounter, continued through necessity. and survived because they were brave enough to stop pretending and start living the truth they had been running from all along.